Hello, so this tutorial is about how to create art that's optimal for Groove Animator. Now, Groove Animator has a unique effect. It animates strokes on a line. And obviously, if there's an SVG file that doesn't have strokes, then it's going to be hard for us to animate the strokes on a line if there is no lines with strokes. So, and it also is the case that there's an ideal set of settings for the SVG file for it to work properly. Now, we, as of now, this is recorded a day before our launch, and we do plan to see if we can write a script that customizes or converts as many of them as possible. Again, we cannot convert a file without strokes to the proper format for strokes. But we can, it does look like we're going to be able to write something that recognizes their strokes and then kind of sets it up properly for everything. But for now, if you're creating art for as a Groove Animator and you want to make sure that it works right, then here's the process that I recommend. Now, first I'm going to show you the kind of the problem or the danger here. You can see here this is binoculars here, and it's kind of animating the kind of those green lines along the path there. You see here that it draws it in and draws it out. And now this little guy right here is a radio, and you can see here that originally it had, if I click on it again, you can see it has these kind of little lines here in order to create a speaker. But in this particular effect, it doesn't work. Now I'll show you, actually it can work with this particular effect, a drawn by line, or it usually can. Let's see, yeah, there they are. So what they can work. It's just that the draw in and out function, and pretty soon we're gonna have draw looping there. That just doesn't work with the horizontal lines if they're not set up properly. So let me show you how to set them up properly. And let's pause that. And so you can see here, and come back here and get over here and look at that. So what we want is something that is going to work all the time, obviously. So here's the process. So let's go into Adobe Illustrator. Now, unfortunately, I'm really just going to have to give this technique in Adobe Illustrator. If you don't have Adobe Illustrator, it's pretty easy for you to farm this out. This process is very, very simple. If you do the art and then have someone process it with Adobe Illustrator, it will not cost you very much. It has cost me, it has taken me a set of about 100 images. It's cost me about 20. The process is very, very quick. I'll show you the keyboard shortcuts if you're having someone do it. And you can get it done in about 20 minutes, which costs me, like I said, I have someone who works for me for $6, a little bit over $6 an hour, so 20 minutes is a few bucks. Okay, so and if any of you, by the way, need someone to do this kind of processing, you have some art, but you want to find someone who's familiar with processing these optimally, get in touch with me, and I'll be able to set you up with that person. But here is the art, and let me just kind of show you something that works right, and you don't even have to sweat it. Let me come over here first. So the first thing that we're trying to do, we need strokes. So this really needs to be drawn in strokes. You've got a stroke up here. You'll know it's a stroke if you click on this, and it gets bigger and thicker and all that kind of stuff. And if I can click on here and have settings in there and change the point and all that kind of stuff. That's as opposed to, let's go in here and change that to a path. So you see there's a little blue line in the center there. If I do outline stroke, then it's going to, all of a sudden that center line is gone, and I have nodes or points kind of on the inside and the outside of the line. So that's not ideal. It's not going to work. It's not a stroke. So we need it to be composed of strokes, okay? And then what you need to do is, in this particular one, everything is fine. Really, the only thing is about exporting to the proper SVG format. And I'll go ahead and do that sample now. I'm just using the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-S or Command-Shift-S so that's Save As, and then I'm going to do SVG and replace it, okay? And it's important to have SVG 1.1, SVG, the subsettings none. We use link. I think it'll work fine with embed. You might want to test that, but link is better. And the preset function attributes in particular, you want to have that. And then This is really probably the most important one. And then these two settings on, these three settings off. You do want to use Unicode UTF-8. Okay, let me show you why that's important. Okay, so here is we're looking at the actual SVG code, and you can notice really here's the kind of the key thing. Notice that here's a path, and it has no fill, but it has the stroke and the width of the stroke there, you can see, and then all the other attributes for the stroke, and that's all within that path, and that's really the key. The key is that we have all of that information in the line. That gives the program the information to know how to deal with that line. As there's another way for SVG programs or files to write this, and that's to have like a style that applies to all the different lines. Well, that may be more efficient, especially for the file size, but it's not for the program. So it really needs to be set up this way. And this can sort of show you why we sort of have hope that we can, or well, not hope, but we're pretty confident that we can, write a script that's going to convert these on the fly. If the information is up there, then it's easy enough for us to basically take that information and put it within each line. And so that's something that we're going to do automatically. But a lot of you, particularly if you're giving bonuses or selling a product that goes with Groove Animator, you're going to want to make sure that it's the right way, and I'm just showing you how. So these are the settings that are very good. Once in Illustrator, once it's saved, you save it once with this, it's going to default to this when you do more. Now, if it's not doing that, we have found, we were processing some images. If it's not doing that, then close Illustrator and open it back up, because it's supposed to do that, okay? We found that, in fact, we ran into that a little while ago. So I'm looking at, images right here. Notice that they're all kind of similar in the sense that they're organic and everything. Now, here's really the other gotcha. Okay, the other gotcha is that vertical lines. I'm going to go ahead and I've actually processed this, so I should undo it. Let's see. I made this so it works right, and that's not good for now for this demo. Okay, so right now, the way this was originally constructed was this vertical line right there was like that. Okay, so what happens is the program has, for some reason, our code has a hard time, and believe me, we worked on this for over a week, has a hard time recognizing, for some reason, vertical and horizontal lines that are not connected to a shape. So here's a shape, for example, and it's got some horizontal lines in it, and that's no problem. It has no problem with that. But when the horizontal or vertical line is not attached to a shape like this one, then it has a hard time with it. So the solution is actually pretty easy. And I'm going to show you, I chose this image because it's kind of has two kind of scenarios that you might run into. One is here, I've got just kind of one vertical line, and everything else is actually, those aren't part of a shape. I was wrong. I just noticed that. I almost made a mistake there. So one thing that I do is just go ahead and select like all the lines in the middle, and what we want to do is we want to turn it into a compound path, okay? And that's got a quick little shortcut, Command 8 or Control 8 if you're on a PC. So I've got those selected, and I'm going to hit Command 8. With these, I might go ahead and do all the vertical lines because these have the same kind of thing. They're vertical lines. I'm going to hit Command 8, and I'm going to come down here, do the same thing, hit Command 8. And now all of these shapes, actually these guys down here, are also vertical, come to think of it. And so notice it's just this one guy. That one is a shape. So I can actually just take these two and combine them together, Command 8. So that's going to, pardon me, I got a little cough. And so that's going to make it to where the program is going to recognize the lines. Okay, I'm sorry, it's a little tedious, but that's what you want to do. And so go ahead and then, save it as the SVG file. Make sure those settings are all the same, and you're good to go. Okay, so now if you're wanting to test this inside of Groove Animator, of course you can come in, you can use the import feature, or you can actually go into the application. Now I'm running this in a way that's a little bit non-standard because I'm currently running a beta, but you'd go into your applications folder or whatever. It's a little bit different for a PC and a Mac, but on the Mac I would go in here. I can go into show package contents, click into that, click into resources, then click into app. I know this is kind of Okay, finally assets and then SVG files. And then I can make my own folder. You can see here, for example, I've got a test folder for test files. You can put whatever folder you want and you can put it in there, and it's going to basically open up with the app, and then you can test your files that way, or you can just import them and so forth. So we might be adding an import library option or something like that here in a future update as well. But that's how you create art optimally for Groove Animator. And contact me if you have any questions or any problems. Again, we do plan to update Groove Animator to make this easier. But I do have to say that, give the proviso that SVG is a very different format, and people can. It's basically you're writing a text file. And so different programs can do different things. And so it's likely that we're never going to be able to cover all the bases with some sort of auto feature that converts things. What's more likely is we're going to, increasingly minimize the files that have trouble. And so if you are creating art for yourself or for a bonus or for a product, this is how you create things optimally for Groove Animator.